so it was just a wonderful, wonderful trip. But in the early parts of our relationship, Pastor Sawyer, on Christmas, I would buy her pots and pans, stuff for the house, you know, or I buy her, like if I wanted a 8-track in the car, I buy her an 8-track. And I'd be giving her all these gifts, and she'd be looking at me saying, what is this? But I was giving her what I liked. But then I had to understand that if I wanted to love her, I couldn't give her what I liked. I had to find out what she liked. And so, when you come to God, you don't bring him what you like. See, that was Cain's problem. He brought him what he liked. And God says, no. Said, if you do it well, then I accept it. But if not, sin lieth at the door. So God wanted Cain to bring a blood offering, because that was what was acceptable. Now let's walk a little further. So you see the basis of offering. Offering is what constitutes the relationship. How you give constitutes the relationship. Now I'm going to show you this, and I got to run through this because I don't want you to be here all night. But turn to 1 Corinthians 15. And I'm going to help you understand sowing and reaping. Sowing and reaping. Sowing and reaping. You know, y'all know sowing and reaping. And I'm not trying to, you know, I just want to bring this out in my message. While you're turning it, it's like those men who had gotten so advanced until they challenged God. And some of you may have heard it said, God, we can do anything you can do. We have reached the epitome of sophistication and technology that we can duplicate you. They called God to the task, and God met them that day and said, okay, let's see your stuff. And they said, and they started making everything that God made. Whatever God made, they would make it too. And they said, we're so good that we can make a man. And God says, God made a man. Made a man. And they said, now we can do it too. And they got down and started gathering the dust. And God said, wait a minute. Use your own dirt. So sometimes we think that we can do what God can do. But you can only do what he allows. So don't ever get so big and think that because when your pastor promotes you, recognizes the gifts and talents in you, and somebody come along and say, now you can do without him. You don't need that no more. But let me tell you something. You're only as great as you are because you're under him. And the only way that you'll be great from under him, he's got to release you. And you'll not be released when you're ready. You'll be released when he's ready. Now 1 Corinthians 15 talks about sowing and reaping. I was doing that to get you to the book. Now, when you get to seed sown, and seed sown, when you sow, you offer You offer seed into the ground. In Mark 4, you don't have to turn it. It says, the earth bringeth from itself. The earth produces of itself. But it needs the seed, the word of God, or the program in the seed that once it's deposited in the ground, it instructs the ground how to differentiate between an apple and an orange. But it's all in the ground. It's all in the dirt. It's the seed that makes the difference. So if you're hearing the word of God, and now you're walking right, you hear the word of God and you step out of sin into salvation. You step out of sickness into deliverance. Why? Because the seed that was deposited to you through the hearing of the word of God is what makes the difference. That's why you are living with stuff that somebody else died from. The difference being that the seed in you come and hear the word. The world will tell you don't come to church. Don't. But David said, I was glad when they said unto me. Now, y'all picking it, y'all picking it. Verse 37. 1 Corinthians 15 says, what you sow is not the body that shall be. Now, Pastor Dr. Sawyer and I are forming a relationship. But what comes out of this relationship is not going to look like what we're doing to each other. We shake hands, we hug, God bless you, we encourage each other. But what happens outside of that relationship is not even going to look like what we are doing. My wife and I met 37 years ago. Now we got 6 grandchildren. It didn't look like that. We got a house, cars. I mean, it didn't look like that. What comes out of that doesn't look like what we were doing. Second part of that, Dr. Sawyer, is that the seed has to be what the earth is calling for. That's right. See, there are different kinds of, all seed don't go into the ground. Achan spilled his seed on the ground, and God killed him. The seed has to be appropriate. That's why you can't play the lottery. Because you can't seed that. That's the wrong place for your seed. See, that's why a man and a man and a woman and a woman. It's not. And what comes out of a relationship where the seed is wrong is sin, disaster, devastation. Because if you try to have a relationship with someone